Donald Trump just called a sitting president an illegal drug leader and threatened to shut down an entire country's operations himself. What does that mean for American security, your morning coffee, and the next phase of the war on drugs? All right, folks, buckle up, because what just happened between President Trump and Colombia is absolutely explosive. And if you think this is just another diplomatic spat, think again. This has direct consequences for American families, our national security, and potentially the price you pay at the grocery store. So here's what went down. On October 20th, President Trump took to Truth Social and dropped a bombshell. He didn't just criticize Colombia, he went nuclear. Trump declared that the United States will cut assistance to Colombia and slap tariffs on their exports because their president, Gustavo Petro, quote, does nothing to stop drug production. But it gets better. Trump wrote, and I'm quoting directly here, Petro better close up drug operations or the United States will close them up for him, and it won't be done nicely. Let that sink in for a second. The President of the United States just threatened military-style intervention in one of our closest Latin American allies. This isn't subtle. This isn't diplomacy. This is Trump drawing a line in the sand with a flamethrower. Later, aboard Air Force One, Trump doubled down. He called Colombia a drug manufacturing machine and labeled President Petro a lunatic. Then came the economic hammer. New tariffs on Colombian coffee and flowers, potentially starting as soon as Monday morning. Now, you might be asking yourself, why does this matter to me? Why should I care about a beef between Trump and some South American president? Well, let me tell you exactly why this affects every single American watching right now. First, let's talk drugs. Colombia has been ground zero in the war on drugs for decades. We're talking about the primary source of cocaine flowing into the United States. And despite billions of dollars in American aid over the years, the drug production continues. Trump's frustration isn't coming from nowhere. American communities are being destroyed by fentanyl and cocaine. American families are burying their kids. So when Trump says, enough is enough, millions of Americans are nodding their heads. But here's where it gets complicated. President Petro fired back hard on X, saying, I am the principal enemy of drugs in Colombia, but I will not accept insults from a foreign leader who clearly ignores our sacrifices. He accused Trump of trying to distract from domestic problems by scapegoating Latin America. And Petro has a point about sacrifices. Thousands of Colombian soldiers, police officers, and judges have died fighting cartels. Colombia has eradicated more coca fields than any other nation. But the question remains, is it enough? Are we seeing results? Or are we just pouring American taxpayer money into a broken system? Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Days before Trump's explosive post, the U.S. Department of Defense confirmed something huge. American forces conducted an operation in the Caribbean, where they sank a vessel allegedly linked to Colombian guerrillas involved in drug trafficking. 3 people on board were killed. Colombia's government protested, calling it a violation of national sovereignty. This is where things get really serious, folks. We're not just talking about tweets and tariffs anymore. We're talking about American military action in waters near a supposed ally. We're talking about dead bodies and sovereignty violations. This is escalating fast. So, what does this mean for America? Let me break it down into 3 critical areas. Number 1, national security. If Trump follows through on cutting aid to Colombia, we risk destabilizing one of the few relatively stable democracies in a region crawling with anti-American regimes. Venezuela is right next door. So are narco-states and socialist movements that would love nothing more than to see American influence collapse in South America. Do we really want to push Colombia into that orbit? Or should we be demanding better results with consequences if they don't deliver. What do you think? Number 2. The economy. Colombia is one of the largest exporters of coffee and flowers to the United States. If tariffs hit as Trump promises, guess who pays? You do. Your morning coffee gets more expensive. The roses you buy for anniversaries and Valentine's Day cost more. Small businesses that rely on these imports take a hit. Analysts are already warning that a tariff war with Colombia could have serious economic repercussions for both countries. Is it worth it to send a message? Should America prioritize stopping drugs, even if it means higher prices at home? I want to hear from you in the comments. Number 3. The bigger picture. This isn't just about Colombia. This is Trump signaling to every country in Latin America, and frankly the world, that the days of empty promises are over. If you take American aid and don't deliver results, there will be consequences. If you export poison to American streets, we will act. Some people call this reckless. I call it putting America first. But let's steelman the other side for a second, because that's only fair. Critics say Trump's approach is destabilizing. They argue that insulting foreign leaders publicly damages relationships we've spent decades building. They point out that cutting aid might make the drug problem worse by creating more chaos in Colombia. They warn that unilateral military action without coordination sets a dangerous precedent. And you know what? Those aren't crazy concerns. Diplomacy matters. Alliances matter. But here's my take. And I want you to comment yes or no and tell me why. At some point, America has to stop being the world's ATM with no strings attached. We've poured billions into Colombia for decades, and cocaine is still flooding our streets. Our kids are still dying. Our communities are still being torn apart. So if tough love, tariffs, and direct action are what it takes to finally see results, maybe it's time we stop apologizing and start demanding accountability. If you're finding this breakdown valuable, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next major story that affects your life and your country. Now, let's talk about what happens in the next 48 hours, because this situation is moving fast. Here's your checklist of what to watch. Number 1. Does Trump actually impose those tariffs on Monday? If he does, expect immediate price reactions in coffee and flower markets. If he doesn't, it might signal he's using this as a negotiating tactic. Number 2. How does Congress respond? There are Democrats and even some Republicans who will push back on unilateral tariff decisions and military operations without congressional approval. Watch for statements from key senators and House members. Number 3. What does Colombia do next? Does Petro escalate this further, or does he try to de-escalate and open negotiations? If he digs in, this could spiral into a full-blown diplomatic crisis. Number 4. Watch Latin America's reaction. If other countries rally around Colombia and accuse the U.S. of imperialism, Trump could face a unified bloc of opposition in the region. That complicates everything from trade to immigration policy. Number 5. Follow the drug trafficking data. Is there any evidence that U.S. pressure is actually working? Are seizures up? Are coca field eradications increasing? Or is this all heat and no light? The data will tell the real story. Here's the bottom line, folks. Trump just threw down a gauntlet that could reshape American foreign policy in Latin America. This isn't just about one president calling another president names. This is about whether the United States will continue business as usual with countries that take our money while drugs pour across our border, or whether we're finally going to demand real results. Some people will call this reckless. Some will call it long overdue. But one thing is certain. The world is watching how America responds when an ally doesn't hold up their end of the bargain. So I'll leave you with this final question, and I really want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Should the United States use economic and military pressure to force countries like Colombia to crack down on drug production, even if it damages diplomatic relationships and raises prices at home? Or should we stick with the traditional approach of aid, cooperation, and patience, even if it means the drug crisis continues to claim American lives? This is the debate that matters, folks. This is about what kind of country we want to be, and how far we're willing to go to protect American families. Drop your thoughts below, and share this video with everyone you know, because this story is only getting bigger. I'll see you in the next one.